Hi, everyone. Welcome back. I'm continuing to read from Wine Comes in Six Packs. I hope that you guys have enjoyed the stories so far, and if you haven't seen them all yet, you can find them on my YouTube channel, or you can find them on my webpage. So if you haven't read or heard them all yet, you're free to go back and look and come back at any time. If any of these stories have intrigued you enough, I hope that you will go and buy them. There are links where to buy them all on my webpage. And also you can hear the book readings from It'll Feel Better When It Quits Hurting on there as well. So anyway, here we go. You ready for another chapter? And please keep in mind I am dyslexic and I'm doing the best I can here, guys. But if I trip over my words, I'm sorry. All right, here we go. To Suffer in Silence. Returning to Quincy, I kept a low profile. There was comfort in the familiar, with family and friends to support me. There was also Nev's family nearby. I didn't want him to know where I lived or have any contact with Nev, partly out of fear that I would break down and go back to him. I knew I wasn't strong enough yet to confront him. Not yet. Knowing that, I asked my family and friends not to share with his family where I might be living or give them any information for now. Learning of my arrival from her son almost as quickly as I stepped into town, Pat began contacting my family to advocate for her son and my return to Phoenix. At first, I objected to meeting with her, but after several months of persistent harassment, my mother finally managed to persuade me to change my mind, or his mother finally managed to persuade me to change my mind. With a lot of misgivings, I conceded to her demands and agreed to meet with her in a public place. Arriving alone, I found her sitting at a table staring out the window. Pausing a moment, I glanced down at her. Hello, Pat. Sliding into the booth, we faced each other in uncomfortable silence. We had never gotten along. During the entire length of my relationship with her son, never once did she call me by name, always referring to me as that woman. Made me feel real special. Nev's parents came from money, while my parents were often poor, and when I was young, and only occasionally middle class, and she saw me as an anchor to her son's life. I saw her as a mean, meddling bitch who not once had a nice thing to say about me or her grandsons in 3 years. We did not like each other at all. Gazing coldly at each other, she eventually asked, How have you been? Shrugging my shoulders. Okay, I guess. How long do you plan on staying in Quincy, keeping my grandsons away from their father before you return? I didn't know how to respond to that. I had no plans of going back. Ever. Slowly, pausing often, I described the downward spiral of my marriage to her, about the abuse, the bruises, how Nev controlled every aspect of my life, from what I ate to how I dressed, never allowing me to have money or able to move around freely towards the end. Watching me, not with concern or compassion, but with growing confusion, shaking her head often at my words, but she did at least, I'll give her that, allow me to continue without interruption. When at last I came to a stumbling halt, not sure what else to say, she locked eyes with me. It's a woman's place to suffer in silence for her man. Huh? Caught completely off guard by her statement. Sighing, as if trying to explain something to a difficult 2-year-old, she began again. It's only right that we suffer for our men. They are the head of the family. It is up to them to maintain discipline and order. If we, by being weak, need to be corrected by our husbands for our failures, that is their right. In disbelief, I blurted out, You're kidding me, right? No. I looked this woman over, as if for the first time. She was not uneducated. She had a PhD. She had been successful during her life, with a well-paying career, only recently retired. She was not poor. Both she and her husband had made a respectable amount of money in their lifetimes. I had no idea what to say to her statements. They were jarring, rolling around, echoing in my head as I sat in stunned amazement, looking at her. I'm sorry, Pat. Quietly sitting back in the booth to put as much physical space between us as I could without leaving the table. I can't do that. If I go back, he will kill me. Maybe not right away, but it will happen. I will not suffer in silence for him. Not anymore. I will not be going back. Ever. But you have to. He is your husband. Not for much longer. Sighing, I shook my head. Listening to her was like having cold water splashed in my face. I realized that for him, what he had done to me was normal, expected, and completely acceptable. He had learned it at his mother's knee, so to speak. There was no saving him or our relationship. All I could do at this point was try to save myself. Pushing myself back up from the booth, I stared down at her. I won't be going back. Don't ask me again. You can be a part of your grandsons' lives, but not unsupervised. If you want to see them, I will bring them to you at a park or a public place. But you will not do to my sons what you allow to be done to yours. You can't do that, pushing her way up from the booth to stand before me. Yes, I can. And I am. Turning to walk away, I glanced back at her one more time, still standing in front of the booth. I'm sorry it has to be this way. Tell Nev when you talk to him next, I won't be coming back. Don't look for me. Don't try to contact me. It's over. Pushing open the door, I stepped out into the sunlight. Looking up at the sky, I felt its warmth on my face, and a small weight lifted from my heart. And I realized it was only now that I had honestly decided to leave Nev. It had not been back in Phoenix, scared for my life, or upon my return home, or even as I haltingly began making plans for my life once I moved in with Leanne and Vern. But there, standing in the sunlight, I let go of all my secret hopes of salvaging my marriage and returning back to my life in Phoenix. With a lighter step, I went home to truly begin my new life. All right, that's it for this week. I hope you'll come back and listen to more stories. You can always purchase my book. It's on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Smashwords, Kobo. It's everywhere. You can get it, obviously, in paperback, or you can get it in ebook, and you can find all the links on my webpage. So I will see you guys next Sunday. I hope you all have a great week. Bye-bye, everyone.